I'll look at the one that's speaking to me, and to say, "Are you the real one?" At this point, I think you must be.
She takes one of your mandible arms for a second, and in your compound vision, you actually have it worse than everyone else because all of the reflections are in that bug eye grid pattern, right? And she says, "Let's see if we can give you a hand." And suddenly you feel yourself, you're back to your human form again. You feel her imposing that will that this is who you are. Yeah. You might prefer a different form on the internet, but don't be ashamed of the you that you are. And she says, "I'm as real as you." And in your vision now, just human vision, all the enemies join back into that one. And she slides back into the one next to Tyrant, who sort of walks away from Tyrant at this point and stands in the middle. But Cowboy, where are you at with this?
I'm gonna say that I understand what you're saying over there, Tyrant, about maybe we're not the real version of us, or maybe we are, but that's not under our control, so we shouldn't worry about it. We should only worry about the things we can control, because those are the only things we can change.
Aaron just kind of nods from across the way, just, all right.
That's really all I'm gonna do.
Looks back at Cowboy and goes, "So which one's the real one?"
Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter.
Tyrant walks over to Osprey and just kind of arms open for a hug. Just,
I give you a hug.
Brotherly love.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm trying to find my next cue. The moment works, but
I code up a drink.
Dope.
The envy that is nearest you, Anna Rose, says, "It might not matter which of me is real to you, but knowing what is real here is what keeps us grounded. Without a reality of your own, you're left with that emptiness. And for a moment in your vision, you see that empty space sort of spread out from that one envy, erasing the others, obscuring your friends, and it's just you and her sort of floating in that space." And she says, "I can understand not wanting to commit to something. It can put you in a position of weakness. But it's also okay to stand for something." And when she says that, you feel yourself on solid ground again. And that envy also lands onto the ground, and the scene rushes back. That emptiness disappears. And she says, "I don't think you want to be alone." And she offers a hand out to you.
I take it.
What are you thinking in that moment?
I'm thinking that the only thing that really matters is, for me, is my own reality currently that I'm in, and that my friends are safe within theirs.
Okay. When you think my reality is the one that matters, all the envies and the one that was separate and sort of in the center of the room kind of walks over and into the one that's shaking your hand. And she turns to all of you and she says, "Well done, everyone. This was mostly to get you to face your own insecurities when it comes to the net. It's true that I've shown you how to manipulate, change things, bend them to your will, But do not be afraid to make a mistake. As they say, you can always fix it later. And the glass around her, like, shatters. And the ground of, like, the, like, boards or whatever starts to buckle. And, you know, split apart. And these towers start to rise up. I will post those in that little chat.
Yeah.
Nope.
Send those erect towers.
Yeah, well, wait, what?
What?
Maybe they're just regular towers.
Those towers are erected.
That's true.
So that should have
But
sent.
that's what I've been learning my entire year. Sort of real education.
Yeah. Come on, Ad.
Very
Get
cool.
out of here. Yeah, it's like a city, right? It looks almost like the internet that you remember before the collective took over and started to like warp it and change it into like nonsense.
Let me get there.
Envy kind of strides forward a little bit to put some distance between you and her. And she says, this is my approximation of the internet. It is not the real thing. The skills I have shown you here are not really as easy as they have appeared. Let's call it easy difficulty setting. You will need to practice these on the real net in order to master them. But you've taken on a lot today, and I think before we finish, let's run through a quick review. And you see behind her this like long snaking like biotic shape. It's almost like a steel snake is like writhing behind her. You see parts of her plating are starting to like crack and spread apart, and the light in her core processor is building. And she says, I will be coming at you with everything you have learned so far. Do not hold back. Let me find the thing.
Parent hears this, codes up the knife.
Envy's form expands and splits apart.
Wow.
Her arms become large, extended blades of metal, which then fill in with wires. Her head grows upon a tall neck, and before you know it, you are staring at a gigantic mechanical beast that roars at you and says, "Come at me, web runners. Show me what you have learned." And I need initiative from everybody.
Yeah.
Before initiative starts, all you hear Grace say is, need me a freak like that. And I got a 16.
All right.
Need me a freak like that.
Need a freak like that.
That's
All right.
line.
25 to 20.
How do we have modifiers?
Oh, that's right. I forgot. 20 to 15 then.
There we go.
It's just habit. It's just habit.
That's fair.
I'm 20 to 15.
I'm
What's your number?
50.
I'm a 16.
I'm 15.
I am not 16.
All
That's
right.
just
I am
contrary to
21.
popular belief.
Grace, Tyrant. What was it, Reggie?
Hey,
15.
15.
Frankie go first.
Okay.
me and Reggie, dude, matching on initiative.
Yeah. Okay.
The dice giveth, the dice taketh away.
15 to 10. Anybody? 15 to 10? No?
Nope.
10 to 5.
9. Oh! We gonna fight!
Fine. Osprey, you can go first.
All right.
Oh,
I'm worried about it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
My skills are dying anyway, so.
oh, that's Does it? It looks like Ivan's on Clippy.
It looks like Ivan's climbing.
It looks like he's
Clippy.
putting his hand on Clippy's shoulder and telling
Yeah.
Clippy it's gonna be better
That's
tomorrow.
really good.
We got you, Clippy.
Up with him.
We'll
Oh,
put.
he's- There's a cat.
The
He
real
has
beast
pulled a
we must
cat
fight
out of the Clippy.
is Ivan with a cat.
Look,
put,
this is the real internet.
We'll put Clippy on the last initiative, just so he can be part of it.
Such beautiful
Clippy's here?
eyes.
Clippy's fighting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Clippy's around. Clippy didn't leave.
He's
He just was
always
like
here.
being quiet.
That's
Clippy
fair.
is one of the envies. You just didn't know.
Oh yeah, fucking
Yeah.
Osprey, you
Yeah,
turned
yeah.
his voice off.
Oh yes, shoot.
You lowered his volume.
Only by 20%.
All right, Envy's up first. I need everyone to roll a d20. I don't need the number, but if you got below an 18, so 17 or below,
Hello,
You-
that's me.
Hello, that's
Hey.
okay. Anybody below a 17, you feel the same way you were feeling in the party. You feel your emotions being manipulated, and you are scared. Like, Envy just said, I will not be holding back, and turned into a dragon. So, like, you're feeling that emotion. But you're feeling that your emotion has been maybe influenced. And that's her turn. That she's just gonna, she's kind of fronting a little bit. Her wings are flaring. There's that same lightning that comes off her staff is crackling at the edges of her mouth and sort of running throughout the circuitry that's making up her new body.
So this is exactly how most anxiety feels, where you're like, this is definitely irrational because something's unrealistic to make me feel this way. But also, I am feeling this way.
Yep. And Grace, it's your turn.
Well, yeah, I like the idea of continuing to use Chester as a big, powerful hand in my chest.
Okay.
So I'm gonna bring him back and see if he can try to punch the dragon.
Okay. Go for it. Roll me a roll.
14.
14. Okay. Yeah, you're feeling scared, but you have that like logic thing in your head where I'm like, I think she's making me feel scared. Maybe I'm not really scared. Chester's probably not scared. And Chester, when you think that, like springs out of your chest and kind of like grabs at Envy in her like dragon throat, and she's just like,
I want you guys to think of Ragnarok from Soul Eater.
kind of, yeah, like scratching at it.
There's this pink-haired person, just kind of like.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a good show.
Tyrant. What you got?
Tyrant gives a light smirk, just remembering the fact that Envy had done this pretty much exact same thing to him when he was at the party,
Mm-hmm.
and immediately is like, this is what she asked for. Looks at Osprey, nods, runs full speed, already doing the perspective thing.
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
Just, you asked for it. Let's go. 20, baby.
Nice. Okay. I'll say with that and with your nod to Osprey, and having had her like affect your mood in this way, you kind of are just like, old news, Envy, and you shrug off that fear, and your nod to Osprey kind of is code written at him, being like, "You're not scared, dude. Get over it." Osprey, your fear effect is ended, and as you run forward with the knife,
Tyrant's outright cockiness. Just
Yeah.
saved.
it lances forward and like catches the dragon in the shoulder, kind of glances off some of the plating, but like definitely like injures it, and just like sparks are flying. You now have this like massive unwieldy knife in your hand, but it landed a hit.
Yeah.
And Tyrant, there really is no in between with you, huh?
Oh. Tyrant is surprisingly a little bit linear when it comes to certain things.
It's
Yeah,
1 or
yeah.
20. Oh.
Envy is going to use a legendary move. She kind of wriggles her dragon neck a little bit free of Chester and turns over to the knife and takes it in her jaw and just snaps it, and then uses that like blade sticking out of her mouth to and throws it at Grace. And Grace, you feel it right between your chest. And Chester is now free of you.
Oh.
And you don't feel him. You don't feel him in you. For the first time in a long time.
Oh, just rip.
Oh wow, that's a sweaty thing that was underneath that
Way to just rip out Grace's heart.
it's like a little pool of water right there.
He's still got, like, Chester is still grabbing onto Envy's, like, throat, shoulder area, but he's not, like, attached to you. Reggie, you're up.
Okay, I'm feeling a little freaked out, so I want to get grounded. And I imagine as I'm standing there, and I'm maintaining my human form because I'm taking the lesson from Envy from our last encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to extend literal grounding lines out to under the feet of the dragon and draw the latent electricity that you described pouring off
Mm-hmm.
I want to empower myself and
Nice.
try and drain it off.
Okay, yeah, roll me a d20 for that.
12.
12. Okay. You feel the wires, and it's almost like they hook into your leg almost, but they dig into the ground and start burrowing over to the dragon, and sort of sprout from the ground like little plants and things. And you do see some of the lightning on the dragon is arcing into them like those what are they called? The Tesla things, the little balls. The lightning seems drawn to those.
Van de Graaff generator.
Yeah.
Nerd.
Okay.
All right.
My
Nerd.
Lippy chimes in.
Yeah, thank you, Lippy.
Order your vision. Hey, I heard you were having trouble finding the answer to what this is.
Trouble defining this object. Here it is. Yeah. You don't feel the electricity has powered you up yet, but you've set this up as maybe near next turn. It'll happen. Right, Osprey.
I return the nod to Tyrant, and I take a couple steps forward, but look, it's more just to get a good gauge of the surroundings, and I just want to have multiple ospreys appear, start walking out of doorways, out of breaking windows open, all with pistols and the big machine gun I had at Zorksmith's, and just start taking pot shots at Envy to keep her distracted while she's in big
Okay,
dragon
yeah,
form.
nice. The windows of these towers that she had constructed as the battlefield are a bit reflective, and reflections of you just start leaping from them. Roll me a d20 to see how successful this move is.
16.
Yeah. Some of them have the Gatling gun. We'll say you and a couple behind you kind of all just pull out this massive thing. Maybe a couple of them run forward and help prop it up for you to aim.
That sounds fine.
the other ospreys in the towers leap out and they've got the knife. As they're landing, you see her mechanical dragon eye kind of look at it and be like, that damn knife. And they just are jamming into her. Occasionally a lightning bolt will fly past and electrocute one of them off. But there's just a lot of them. They're swarming her like ants almost. Just these copies of you, and you have this huge Gatling gun that you just start to
just
load.
Press the trigger and go.
Yep.
Awesome.
It rakes up across. It goes into one of her mechanical wings and blows off a few of the she doesn't have netting in between a bat wing. It's more feathered plates of steel, and it begins to tear some of those plates off. All right, Anna Rose.
All right, so I'm going to attempt to reverse the generator in my arm and try to start pulling electricity out of the envy dragon.
Oh.
Okay. So you're also gonna try and like magnetize your arm as like a source to draw the electricity away?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll me that d20.
Debuffs for days.
2.
2?
2.
Okay.
Oh.
Unfortunately, your generator in your arm, you've just gone through this lesson of like, you're real, believe in yourself, blah blah blah, and you think like, come here electricity, but you're not thinking so much about the like mechanics of that generator, and so one of the bolts on her body just strikes at you and blasts you. So it didn't really absorb it, it just kind of drew it to you, and you're kind of knocked back on your butt.
Damn.
Yeah. And on the dice, that's how they roll. Clippy. What you up to?
Clippy got distracted by a nearby cat running by. It was having a really hard time focusing on the dragon. Oh man! This seems like a really dangerous
Nothing.
situation. Clippy suggests that...
Oh my god. That's absolutely horrifying.
Jared! Oh my god. Clippy suggests that all of these people should probably summon more friends and use the power of friendship to defeat the dragon. That's what Clippy suggests. That's his
Friendship.
I appreciate Clippy.
Yeah, and then Clippy's going to attempt to create, out of one of the mirrors, is going to create another Clippy that he's going to have turn into Kobold.
Oh, nice.
Thanks, Clippy.
He rolled a
You're
6.
the best.
Oh, never mind, Clippy. You can leave.
Okay. We'll say another, like, Clippy duplicates himself. He's able to do that fairly easily. So there are 2 Clippies now just sort of standing next to each other and like,
Hello, I am twice as helpful now.
yeah, ready to help. Alright. That's Envy. She is going to use her turn basically to like wrestle Chester, kind of get him off.
Boy.
And as she like pulls him away, the like servos on her chest start to like light up and glow. And right as she pulls it away, they all arc lightning bolts into Chester, kind of just wriggles in her grasp. And she does one of those like, I don't know how to describe the maneuver other than like a dog patting its like bed down for the night. Her huge dragon form just kind of spins once, and Chester's giant, like long, sort of amorphous tentacle hand shape starts flying and coming towards you, Grace.
Oh.
And it's your turn.
Well, I have to deal with this.
all challenges can be defeated with friendship.
Friendship.
Yeah. I'm gonna momentarily ignore the thing flying at me. I'm gonna think of my bestest friend in the whole wide world. His name is Chronic. And I'm gonna try to bring Chronic here, even if it's
Okay.
not really him, because I miss him.
Yep. Alright.
Alright. Wait, I want to bring Chronic, but on his back I want Dex, because Dex is good at shooting things. So we're all- That's bad.
Piggybacking dead.
I want the people I always dreamed of.
Let's see what you get.
Bad thing.
14.
14.
Nice.
Okay.
At least get Chronic and a mini Dex.
So what happens is, on one of these like shattered panes of glass, you see a hand just kind of like reach up and boom, and pull itself out, and it is a version of Chronic that you've created.
Hello, mate.
He says, "Oh hey, how's it going, Grace?" Pulls himself out. He sees like Chester being like swung around by the dragon and hurled towards you. And he says, "Oh, geez, we better get him back inside you, right?" And he runs over to you, pulls out a huge knife, and stabs you in the chest. and like breaks your sternum apart, and then just kind of holds it open.
It's just like him.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Dex is like a tiny Dex on his back, like in a backpack, like a baby Bjorn. And Dex is there, and he's just like, oh fuck, that guy's way too big. Pulls out like 2 guns and just starts blasting Chester into tiny pieces.
Screaming, fuck you!
And he's just like, ah! One of the tiny pieces and lands right in your chest.
At Farmers, we've seen
And
it
Chronic
too,
just
especially lately.
squishes you close and kind of pats you and says, hey, that's where he belongs, right?
I'm so happy this mini Dex isn't as afraid of the internet as the real one.
Well, it's the Dex you made, so however you want him to appear.
He's perfect in every way in this version. It's not flawed like his original version.
Right, perfect in every way. Baby-sized with 2 giant guns and not afraid of the internet.
Exactly. Just as I like him.
Brent, it is your turn.
He looks.
I just saw the fucking message in the chat, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Tyrant kind of just throws the knife to the side. He's like done with that. Full sprinting, and he's like, let's see if you remember this one. It's gonna be an I-beam again, trying to pin Envy down.
We need that thing. Okay, you're gonna repeat. You're just playing all the classics from the
Yeah,
missions.
he's literally going through what he's learned.
Okay.
Envy said, remember what you've learned. And he went, oh, okay.
Okay, maybe she meant the lesson, not the exact move you used, but
Nope.
that's okay.
Nope, Tyrant says go time.
Yep.
Use what I learned.
All right. Roll for that beam.
10.
And okay. Yeah, it goes kind of the same as last time. You like have this idea of this like bolt of Zeus, and it's a steel I-beam. It definitely gets her in the back, and she kind of roars at you, just like. Actually, you hear Envy's voice in your head, and she says, "Be creative. I'm going to be."
She's more injured by your lack of creativity than by the move itself.
And
Mind you,
when
the entire
she
time,
She said, "Get good."
Tyrant's still sprinting directly at the beast. Like, he
Yeah.
is not stopping his motion.
Great.
He's just like,
she's
go.
gonna take her legendary action for the round. As she says, like, you should be more creative. I need everyone to roll a d20.
Ooh,
About that.
that's fun.
If you have below a 17, let me know.
That's me.
Yep.
17,
Literally.
17
Clippy got a
flat
16.
Ah, Clippy, come on.
Clippy,
It's a
what the
17
hell?
flat
Hold
good.
your weight.
All right. If you got below the 17, gravity shifts for you, like in the maze. For you, Tyrant, you suddenly are just like pancaked to the ground. Like, gravity has become so much stronger. For other people who had it fail on them, you're being thrown up into the air as if you've fallen from a height, but you're falling from the ground up. And for others of you, it's less extreme, but you are now weightless, and you can't seem to like get any inertia from where you are, as Envy has changed the physics of this area. And you see some of the debris on the ground is now also rising, creating these like, masses of metal or debris or, glass panes just sort of floating strangely. And sometimes they'll float up to a certain height and then rocket to somewhere else and then start floating and spinning again slowly. It's like the physics are now completely weird. But that's for legendary. Reggie, your turn.
Okay.
Get coils set up.
Well, I was trying to. Now I'm floating up in the air. I'm gonna reach out because in my mind, Clippy made a copy of himself, and both of them are strangely enough within reach of me, and I've weaponized them into little stabby versions. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm basically gonna stab myself to break the skin barrier so that I can feed the electricity directly into me that I'm hoping to try and drain off.
Yeah. So the Clippies, you're like, give me a hand. And
Help!
they're like, we're happy to help. And
I
they
would be happy to help.
Yeah, they float over. They hook themselves around the cables that you had in the ground, and then kind of float themselves up to you. At which point you can, grab them and kind of just like juice yourself like Bane, I guess.